The rain had fallen all day. The cold wind moved across the empty fields. Far away from the busy cities, Daniel Carter lived alone on a small farm. His life was quiet. Every morning he fixed old machines. Every evening he watched the sun disappear behind the hills. That night felt different. The air was strangely silent. Even the birds had stopped singing. Daniel looked up at the dark sky for just 1 second. He thought he saw a bright blue light moving between the clouds. Then it disappeared. He shook his head. It was probably lightning, he told himself. He closed the barn door and started walking back to his house. Then he heard it, a soft cry. It sounded like a child. Daniel stopped. The wind became stronger. Again, the same cry. Very weak, very scared, he looked around. There was nobody living near his farm. No child should be outside on a night like this. He grabbed his flashlight and followed the sound. The muddy road led toward the old forest behind his house. The crying became louder. Daniel's heart started beating faster. He pushed aside a broken tree branch. Then he froze. A little girl was sitting alone under a large tree. She looked no older than 8 years old. Her clothes were torn. Rain covered her small body. Long silver hair rested on her shoulders. Her skin was pale. Tiny glowing blue lines moved slowly across her arms. Her bright blue eyes looked at Daniel with fear. She was not human. Daniel had never seen anything like her. For a long moment, neither of them moved. The little girl slowly stood up. She looked tired. She looked hungry. Most of all, she looked completely alone. Daniel lowered his flashlight. He spoke in a calm voice. "Are you hurt?" The little girl did not answer. She simply watched him, as if she was trying to decide whether he was dangerous. Daniel took one slow step forward. She stepped back. Fear filled her eyes. He stopped immediately. "It's okay," he said softly. "I'm not going to hurt you." The little girl looked at him for several seconds. Then something unexpected happened. She whispered one word. "Help." Her voice was weak, almost too quiet to hear. Daniel's face became serious. He did not understand who she was. He did not know where she came from. But he understood one thing: she needed help. Without saying another word, Daniel slowly removed his old jacket. He placed it around her shoulders. She flinched at first. Then she held the warm jacket tightly. For the first time, some of the fear left her face. Daniel offered his hand after a long pause. The little girl carefully reached forward. Her small hand touched his. It was freezing cold. Daniel gently helped her stand. "Come with me," he said. "My house is warm." The little girl quietly nodded. Together they walked back through the rain. Neither of them noticed the deep marks in the wet ground behind the forest. Large, perfectly round, as if something enormous had landed there only minutes earlier. Inside the farmhouse, Daniel gave the girl a warm blanket. He made hot soup. She stared at the bowl, almost as if she had never seen human food before. Daniel smiled. "You can eat." Slowly. She picked up the spoon after one small bite. She began eating faster. She must have been starving. Daniel sat across from her. He noticed strange silver marks around her neck. They looked like old scars. Someone had hurt her. He wanted to ask questions, but he could see she was too frightened. Instead, he simply said, "You are safe here." The little girl looked into his eyes for the first time that night. She gave a tiny smile. It lasted only a second. But Daniel noticed it. Outside, the rain finally stopped. The clouds slowly moved away. High above Earth, hidden beyond the moon, a massive black warship waited silently. Its surface was covered with glowing red lights. Inside the command room, hundreds of alien officers watched a single hologram. The image showed the little girl sitting inside Daniel's farmhouse. One officer looked at the screen. His voice was cold. "The target has been found." Another officer nodded. "The Galactic Council has confirmed the reward." A new number appeared across the hologram. 1,000,000,000,000 credits. The entire room became silent. 1,000,000,000,000 credits, the highest bounty in galactic history. Then the commander gave a single order. Prepare every fleet. We are taking the child. Back on Earth, Daniel closed the curtains. He had no idea that millions of soldiers were already moving toward his lonely farm. And before the next sunrise, his quiet life would disappear forever. Morning came quietly. The storm was gone. Golden sunlight covered the small farm. Everything looked peaceful, as if the strange night had never happened. Daniel woke early. He walked into the kitchen. The little alien girl was already awake. She stood by the window, watching the fields. She seemed amazed at the green grass, the birds, the old wooden fence. It was clear she had never seen a place like this before. Daniel smiled. "Good morning." She looked at him. For a moment, she did not speak, then she gave a small nod. Morning. It was only one word, but her voice sounded stronger than before. Daniel placed fresh bread and eggs on the table. "You should eat." The little girl sat down quietly. She looked at every piece of food with curiosity. As if she was learning something new, Daniel noticed it. "You've never had food like this, have you?" She slowly shook her head. "No." Before Daniel could ask another question, a loud buzzing sound filled the house. His old radio suddenly turned on by itself. Static echoed through every room. Daniel frowned. "I didn't even switch it on." The sound became louder, then stopped. Complete silence. A second later, every light inside the farmhouse flickered. The ceiling lamp flashed blue. The television turned on without power. Its screen stayed black. Then strange glowing symbols appeared. They moved too quickly for any human to understand. The little girl immediately stood up. Fear filled her eyes. "No," she whispered. "They found me." Daniel looked at her. "What do you mean?" She stepped backward. "They are listening." Before she could explain, the television screen went completely dark. Then one sentence appeared in bright red letters. "Return the child." Daniel's face became serious. The message disappeared. The television exploded into sparks. Glass scattered across the floor. The little girl covered her ears. Her entire body trembled. Daniel quickly stood between her and the broken screen. "It's okay," he said calmly. "No one is taking you." Outside, something unusual happened. Every bird suddenly flew away. Even the cows became restless. The farm dog started barking toward the sky. Daniel walked outside. Everything looked normal. Blue sky, warm sunlight. No ships, no strangers, nothing, still. The strange feeling remained. Someone was watching, far above Earth, hidden behind the moon. The black warship remained perfectly still. Its powerful scanners focused on one small farmhouse, inside the bridge. A tall officer watched countless holographic screens. "The child has activated an ancient signal," one technician nodded. "Human electronics cannot block it." Another officer looked surprised. "The human is still protecting her." The commander remained silent. Then he spoke. "Interesting." He touched another hologram. Daniel's face appeared. "A single human stands against the galaxy." The officers laughed. One smiled. "He will surrender soon." The commander slowly shook his head. "No, there is something different about this one." Back on Earth, Daniel repaired the broken television. It was completely burned. Nothing inside remained usable. He had seen electrical fires before, but nothing like this. The little girl quietly sat on the porch. She looked toward the sky. Daniel walked over and sat beside her. After several minutes, she finally spoke. "My name," she hesitated, "is Lyra." Daniel smiled gently. "Lyra, that's a beautiful name." She looked at him. "You are not afraid?" Daniel laughed softly. "I've lived on this farm for 20 years. I've survived storms, floods, and angry bulls. I guess I can survive one little alien girl, too. For the first time. Lyra laughed. It was a small laugh, but it sounded real. Daniel realized she was just a child. Whatever had happened, whatever people were chasing her, she was still only a little girl at that same moment, nearly 400 kilometers above Earth. A small object separated from the giant warship. It was no larger than a bird. Its black surface reflected no light. Silent, invisible, it entered Earth's atmosphere. No radar detected it. No satellite saw it. Its mission was simple: confirm the target. Eliminate anyone protecting her. Minutes later, the tiny drone landed quietly inside Daniel's cornfield. Its red eye opened. It scanned the farmhouse. It scanned Daniel. Then it scanned Lyra. A cold mechanical voice spoke. Target confirmed. Guardian identified. Beginning termination protocol. Hidden among the tall corn. The machine slowly started moving toward the house. Neither Daniel nor Lyra knew that death had already stepped onto the farm. And it was getting closer with every second. The morning stayed quiet, too quiet. A gentle wind moved across the cornfield. The tall green plants swayed from side to side. From the farmhouse porch, Daniel looked across his land. Something felt wrong. He could not explain it. The farm was peaceful, but his instincts refused to relax. Lyra stood beside him. She suddenly grabbed his arm. Her glowing blue eyes became wide. He is here, she whispered. Daniel looked around. Who? Lyra slowly pointed toward the cornfield. There. Daniel saw nothing, only rows of moving corn. But Lyra's frightened face told him everything. Someone was hiding. Daniel quietly walked into the house. He opened an old wooden cabinet. Inside was a worn hunting rifle. It had belonged to his father. He checked it carefully. It was old, but it still worked. Lyra watched him. You cannot stop them, she said softly. Daniel smiled. Maybe not, but I'll still try. Lyra lowered her head. She had heard those words before. Many people had promised to protect her. None of them survived. Daniel stepped outside again. The farm was silent. Even the insects had stopped making noise. Then, crunch. A single sound came from the cornfield. Daniel raised the rifle. Who's there? No answer. Another step. Closer this time. Crunch. The sound stopped. Daniel waited. Every second felt longer than the last. Then something impossible happened. The corn began to separate, not because of the wind, but because something was walking through it, something invisible. The plants bent as if an unseen body pushed them aside. Daniel tightened his grip. Lyra stepped behind him. The invisible figure stopped only 20 meters away. Then the air shimmered, like heat above a fire. A black machine slowly appeared. It was taller than any human. Its body was covered in dark metal. 4 glowing red eyes stared at them. Long silver claws extended from both hands. Its voice sounded cold, without emotion. Target confirmed. Lyra of House Elion. Prepare for transport. Lyra's face turned pale. No, she whispered. Daniel took 1 step forward. She's not going anywhere. The machine turned toward him. Human, you are interfering with galactic authority. You have 1 chance. Step aside. Daniel did not move. The machine calculated for less than a second. Refusal confirmed. Beginning elimination. Without warning. The machine moved. It crossed 10 meters in a heartbeat. Its claw shot toward Daniel's chest. He barely jumped aside. The claws sliced through the wooden fence instead. The thick boards exploded into pieces. Daniel hit the ground, rolling across the dirt. The rifle landed beside him. He grabbed it. Boom! The gun fired. The bullet struck the machine's shoulder. Sparks flew. The machine staggered 1 step, then looked at the damaged armor. Primitive weapon detected. Damage insignificant. It attacked again. Daniel fired twice more. Boom. One bullet hit its arm, the other struck its head, more sparks, still. The machine kept walking, like nothing had happened. Lyra suddenly shouted, "Daniel!" He turned. The machine had already reached him. A metal claw swung toward his face. Daniel ducked. The sharp blade missed him by inches. It cut straight through an old tractor behind him. The heavy steel machine split into two pieces. As if it were made of paper, Daniel stared in shock. "If that hit me..." He never finished the sentence. The machine kicked him. The impact threw him across the yard. He crashed into a pile of firewood. Pain rushed through his body. Lyra ran toward him. "No!" The machine ignored Daniel. It focused only on the little girl. "Resistance has ended. Return with me." Lyra slowly stepped backward. Tears filled her eyes. "I won't go back. You have no choice." The machine reached for her. Then Daniel stood again. Blood ran down his forehead. His shoulder burned with pain, but he was still standing. He picked up a heavy iron shovel lying near the barn. The machine did not even look at him. It considered him defeated. That was its mistake. Daniel swung the shovel with all his strength. The iron blade slammed into the back of the machine's head. Crack! The force knocked the machine forward. Its balance failed. It crashed onto the ground. Before it could recover, Daniel struck again. And again, and again, the metal shell began to break. Red sparks burst into the air. Warning alarms echoed from inside the machine. Critical damage. Critical damage. Its red eyes flickered. Then suddenly, everything went dark. The machine stopped moving. Silence returned to the farm. Daniel dropped the bench shovel, breathing heavily. Lyra stared at him in complete disbelief. No human, she whispered, has ever defeated one of them. Daniel looked at the broken machine. I guess they never met a stubborn farmer. For the first time in many years, Lyra smiled without fear, but hundreds of thousands of kilometers away. Inside the black warship, every alarm suddenly turned red. An officer jumped to his feet. The Hunter unit. It has been destroyed. The bridge fell silent. Even the commander looked surprised. He slowly turned toward the hologram, showing Daniel Carter. Then a small smile appeared on his face. So, the reports about humans were true after all. He pressed one glowing button. Moments later, across the endless darkness of space, thousands of warships changed direction. Every one of them began moving toward a single blue planet, Earth. And Daniel's lonely farm had just become the center of the greatest hunt in the galaxy. The broken machine lay in the middle of the farm. Smoke slowly rose from its damaged body. The morning was peaceful again. But Daniel knew the peace would not last. He leaned against the old tractor. Trying to catch his breath, Lyra stood a few steps away. She kept staring at the destroyed Hunter, as if she could not believe it was truly gone. Finally she spoke. They will send more. Daniel looked at her. Then we'd better know why they're coming. Lyra lowered her eyes. For a long moment, she said nothing. The silence became heavy. Daniel did not push her. He simply waited. After several minutes, Lyra took a deep breath. My people were called the Elions. Daniel listened carefully. We were not the biggest empire. We were not the strongest. But we protected something that every ruler wanted. What was it? Daniel asked. Lyra looked toward the sky, the heart seed. Daniel frowned. I don't understand. Lyra searched for simple words. It is not a weapon. It is not treasure. It is knowledge. She placed her small hand over her chest. The heart seed remembers everything. Our science, our history, our language, our music, our dreams. It carries an entire civilization. Daniel slowly realized what she meant. If your people disappear, she nodded. Everything lives inside the heart seed. Daniel looked at her. Where is it? Lyra's glowing eyes met his. It is inside me. The wind suddenly felt colder. Daniel understood why the galaxy wanted her. She was not just a little girl. She was the last living library of an entire civilization. Before Daniel could speak, a loud crack came from the broken hunter. Its damaged head suddenly lit up, a weak red light blinked. Daniel quickly stepped in front of Lyra. I thought it was dead. It is, Lyra whispered. But it can still send one last message. The machine's broken voice echoed across the farm. Emergency transmission. Target confirmed. Heartseed confirmed. Priority Omega. Then its body exploded into hundreds of glowing pieces. The red light disappeared forever. Lyra closed her eyes. They know now. Daniel looked toward the open fields. Then we don't have much time. Far beyond Earth's atmosphere. Inside the command bridge of the black flagship. Every officer stood in silence. A giant hologram filled the room. The final message from the hunter played again. Heartseed confirmed. The commander's calm face changed. Even he had not expected this. So the rumors were true. One officer spoke carefully. Sir, if the child truly carries the heartseed. The commander finished the sentence. Then she is worth far more than 1 trillion credits. Another officer asked, what are your orders? The commander looked at the blue planet below. No more machines, no more drones. We are going ourselves. At once. Thousands of officers hurried across the bridge. Massive engines came alive. The flagship slowly turned toward Earth. At the same time, messages spread across the galaxy. Every empire received the same alert. The heartseed has been found. Within hours, kings, warlords, pirates, mercenaries, bounty hunters, and secret organizations all changed their course for the first time in history. Enemies who hated each other wanted the same prize. One little girl, back on Earth, Daniel packed an old backpack. Food, water, medical supplies. A flashlight, a map, his hunting rifle. Lyra watched quietly. You are leaving your home. Daniel zipped the bag. Homes can be rebuilt. People can't. She looked confused. You barely know me. Daniel smiled. I know enough. You needed help. That's all I needed to know. Lyra looked away. No one had ever treated her like that. To everyone else, she had always been a prize. A weapon. A secret. Never a child. For the first time since her family died, she felt safe. Suddenly, a low rumbling sound rolled across the sky. Daniel looked up. There were no clouds. Yet the sound grew louder. The birds flew away again. The ground shook beneath their feet. Lyra's face turned pale. They're here. Daniel searched the sky. At first he saw nothing, then tiny black dots appeared above the horizon. There were dozens of them, no. Hundreds, each one moved with impossible speed. As they came closer, their shapes became clear. Small black ships, perfectly silent. Flying in perfect formation, Daniel's heart sank. Those aren't from Earth. Lyra slowly nodded. They are only the scouts. Daniel stared at the endless line of ships. If those are the scouts. He did not finish. Because the sunlight suddenly disappeared. A giant shadow passed over the farm. Daniel slowly looked higher, far above the smaller ships. Something enormous emerged from the blue sky. A warship so massive that it covered the sun. Its dark metal surface stretched from one side of the horizon to the other. The farmhouse, the fields, the hills. Everything below fell into darkness. Lyra whispered only one sentence. The galaxy has come for me. Then a deep voice echoed across the entire planet. Every radio, every phone, every television, every satellite broadcast the same message. People of Earth, surrender the child, or your world will become the first lesson. The giant warship hung above Earth. It did not fire, it did not move, it simply waited. Its shadow covered mountains, cities, rivers. NTA phones stopped working, airplanes turned back. Military bases raised every alarm. No one knew where the enormous ship had come from. But everyone understood one thing: humanity was on Daniel's small farm. The deep voice echoed one last time. You have 1 hour. Surrender the child, or your planet will suffer the consequences. See, only the wind could be heard. Daniel looked at the sky, then at Lyra. She was shaking. Not because she was afraid for herself, but because she knew what would happen next. They will destroy Earth because of me, she whispered. Daniel knelt beside her. No, they are choosing to attack. That is their decision, not yours. Tears filled Lyra's glowing eyes. I should leave. If I go with them, millions of humans will live. Daniel slowly shook his head. You've spent your whole life running. You don't have to run anymore. Lyra L. She wanted to believe him. But the galaxy had never shown mercy. At that moment, television screens inside the farmhouse suddenly turned back on. This time they were not broken. Every channel showed the same emergency broadcast. A serious woman in a military uniform appeared. My name is General Rebecca Hayes. The government has confirmed the arrival of an unknown alien fleet. We ask every citizen to remain calm. We are attempting peaceful communication. Before she could continue, the screen changed. A tall alien commander appeared. His silver armor reflected the light of distant stars. His golden eyes looked directly into the camera. His voice was calm. Humans, this conflict is not with your species. We seek only one individual, the child known as Lyra. Return her, and Earth will be left untouched. If you refuse. He paused. Then a second image appeared beside him. It showed a distant moon, without warning. A thin beam of blue light struck its surface. The entire moon cracked apart. Seconds later, it exploded into countless pieces. The broadcast returned to the commander's face. That was your warning. The transmission ended. Daniel turned the television off. Lyra lowered her head. You see? They're telling the truth. They can destroy worlds. Daniel walked toward the window. Looking across the fields, I've met people like that before. Lyra looked confused. Not aliens, bullies. They think fear always wins. He picked up his backpack. I've never liked bullies. Far above Earth, inside the flagship, the commander watched Daniel through an orbiting surveillance drone. One officer laughed. The human still refuses. Another smiled. Permission to erase the farm. The commander remained silent. He studied Daniel's face. No. I want to understand him. The officers exchanged confused looks, sir. The commander folded his hands behind his back. 1 trillion credits. The survival of an entire planet. Yet he still protects someone he met yesterday. He looked back at the hologram. What gives humans this kind of courage? No one on the bridge had an answer. Back on Earth, Melita, one after another. They landed in the open field. Dozens of soldiers surrounded the house. Daniel quietly stepped outside. A tall officer approached him. She removed her helmet. I'm Colonel Sarah Mitchell. We're here to take the child into government protection. Daniel crossed his arms. Protectio, she nodded. We'll keep her safe. Daniel looked toward the giant warship above. Can you? The colonel hesitated. She knew the honest answer. No. Daniel continued. Then what happens? She sighed. We'll negotiate. And if they refuse? Silence. Finally, she answered. Then we'll do what we can. Daniel looked directly into her eyes. You mean you'll hand her over? The colonel did not reply. She didn't need to. Lyra slowly walked out of the farmhouse. Every soldier stared at her glowing blue eyes. Some raised their weapons without thinking. Others lowered them, realizing she was only a frightened child. Lyra stepped forward. I'll go. Daniel immediately. Stood beside her, no. She looked up at him. You cannot protect me. Forever, maybe not. But today. He looked at the soldiers. I still can. The colonel spoke softly. Mr. Carter, if you resist, we will have to arrest you. Daniel smiled. I've never been arrested before. One nervous soldier stepped closer, just as he reached for Daniel's arm. Every electronic device on the farm suddenly shut down. The helicopters lost power. Military radios filled with static. Engines stopped. The soldiers looked around in confusion. Then, a bright blue circle appeared in the middle of the field. It grew larger every second. The air itself seemed to tear apart. Lightning danced across the ground. Lyra's face turned white. Oh no. Daniel looked at her. What is it? Her voice barely came out. They didn't wait for the hour. The blue light exploded outward. A massive gateway opened in the center of the farm. Cold air rushed from the glowing portal. One armored foot stepped through, then another, then dozens more. Tall alien soldiers marched onto Earth in perfect formation. Each carried weapons unlike anything humans had ever seen. Behind them, a figure in black armor slowly walked through the portal. He carried no weapon. He needed none. His eyes locked onto Daniel, then onto Lyra. A faint smile appeared on his face. Finally, he spoke. I came personally, because I wanted to meet the human who dared tell the galaxy, no. The blue portal slowly closed behind the alien soldiers. Silence covered the farm. No one moved. The black armored commander stood at the front of his soldiers. He was tall, calm. His face showed no anger, only confidence to him. This mission was already over. His golden eyes rested on Daniel. So, you are the human. Daniel Stu, his old hunting rifle was still in his hands. It looked tiny compared to the glowing alien weapons. The commander looked at it, then smiled. You still believe that weapon matters? Daniel answered without fear. It matters if I'm holding it. Several alien soldiers laughed. One whispered, humans truly are strange. The commander raised one hand. The laughter stopped immediately. He stepped closer. I am Commander Variak. I did not come to kill your people. I came to collect what belongs to the galaxy. Daniel shook his head. She doesn't belong to one. Variak looked at Lyra. You carry the heart seed. You carry the future of civilizations. You are too important to live as a child. Lyra lowered her eyes. For years, she was never allowed to laugh. Never allowed to play. Never allowed to be afraid. She had always been treated like an object. Daniel spoke before she could. She's important because she's alive, not because of what's inside her. For the first time, Variak's calm expression changed. He had heard thousands of leaders speak, but never like this. You would risk your species for one child? Daniel answered without hesitation, yes. The word echoed across the silent field. Even the alien soldiers looked surprised. Variak slowly turned toward his officers. Interesting. He faced Daniel again. Then allow me to teach you something. He lifted one hand. A small silver device floated into the air. A hologram appeared above it. Thousands of stars filled the sky. One by one, entire worlds lit up. Variak pointed toward them. Every light you see is an empire that obeys us. The image changed. Millions of warships appeared, then billions. Ships so numerous they looked like rivers of steel. Variak's voice remained calm. We command more soldiers than your planet has people. The hologram changed again. Gigantic battle stations, ancient weapons. Planets turned into fortresses. We have ruled the stars for thousands of years. He looked directly at Daniel. What exactly do humans have? Daniel looked around his little farm, the old barn, the broken tractor, the damaged fence. Then he smiled. We have each other. Several alien officers laughed again. One nearly dropped his weapon. Variak did not lie instead. He stared at Daniel for several seconds, almost as if trying to understand him. Said a loud voice interrupted, "Sir." One alien technician ran toward Varric. He looked frightened. "The orbital scanners have detected something." Varric froze. "What is it?" "The humans. They're moving." Varric looked surprised. "Moving where?" Earth appeared. Small lights blinked across every continent. Military bases, airfields, naval ports, satellites. Every nation was becoming active. Another officer smiled. "They're preparing to surrender." The technician slowly shook his head. "No. Sir, they're preparing to fight." The bridge aboard the flagship received the same report. Across the planet, countries that had been enemies only yesterday were suddenly working together. Fighter jets filled the skies. Warships left their harbors. Scientists opened secret laboratories. Engineers activated projects that had never been shown to the public. General Rebecca Hayes stood inside the underground command center. She looked at hundreds of military officers. "Our weapons may not stop them. But if humanity has one strength," she looked around the room, "it's that we never quit." Every officer nodded. Back on the farm, Varric watched the reports arrive one after another. His officers looked confused. Why would they resist? "They cannot win," Varric quietly answered. "They know that." The officer looked even more confused. "Then why?" Before Varric could answer, Daniel spoke. "Because that's what humans do. If someone threatens our family, we stand up, no matter the odds." Lyra looked at Daniel, then at the soldiers surrounding them for the first time. She understood something about humans. They were not fearless. Daniel was afraid. Every soldier on the farm was afraid. Every person on Earth was afraid, but they chose to stand anyway. That was courage, not the absence of fear, but the decision to face it. Suddenly, every alien helmet began flashing red. Warning symbols filled their displays. A frightened officer shouted, "Commander, we've detected an unknown signal. It isn't coming from Earth. It isn't coming from our fleet." Varric's face became serious. "Source?" The officer's hands shook as he checked the scanners. His voice became almost a whisper. "The edge of the solar system." Another alarm echoed across every alien ship. Then another. Then another. One final message appeared on every screen. "Unknown fleet detected." The estimated number kept increasing. 10,000, 50,000, 100,000. Then the computer stopped counting. Varric slowly looked toward the stars. For the first time in many years, the famous commander felt something he had almost forgotten. Uncertainty. Then a terrified officer whispered, "Commander, I don't think they came for the child. I think they came for us." Every eye turned toward the sky. The strange signal continued to grow inside the giant alien flagship. Warning alarms echoed through every hallway. Red lights flashed across the command bridge. Officers rushed from one station to another. No one spoke. No one understood what was happening. Commander Varric stood perfectly still. His eyes remained fixed on the main hologram. The unknown fleet was entering the solar system. Its ships did not match any design stored in the galactic archives. One officer looked nervous. "We have searched every database. No match." Another officer added, "They are hiding their identity." Varric frowned. "Impossible. No fleet can hide from galactic scanners." The young officer swallowed. "This one can." Silence filled the bridge. Back on Earth, people around the world watched the sky. News channels had stopped showing normal broadcasts. Every screen displayed the same image. The enormous alien warship above Earth, then. A second group of lights appeared far beyond it. At first, they looked like tiny stars. Within minutes, the stars became ships. Thousands of them. They moved in complete silence, without firing a single shot. General Rebecca Hayes watched from the underground command center. "Who are they?" No one answered. Every radar system on Earth showed the same impossible result. Unknown vessels, unknown technology, unknown origin. On Daniel's farm, Lyra stared into the sky. Her glowing eyes suddenly became brighter. Daniel noticed. "What is it?" She smiled for the first time without fear. "I know them." Daniel looked surprised. "You do?" Lyra nodded. "They are the keepers." Daniel frowned. "The keepers?" "They were friends of my people. They disappeared before I was born. Everyone believed they were gone forever." High above Earth, the unknown fleet stopped. One beautiful silver ship slowly moved forward. It was much smaller than Varek's flagship, but somehow it felt far more powerful. A peaceful voice echoed across every communication system. It spoke in simple words. "So, the child still lives." Lyra closed her eyes. A tear rolled down her cheek. They came. Commander Varek activated his communicator. "This matter belongs to the Galactic Council. You have no authority here." The peaceful voice answered immediately. "You are wrong. The Heartseed belongs to no empire. It belongs to the future." Varek's face became cold. "I have 1,000,000 soldiers." The answer came without fear. "And yet, you still could not defeat one human farmer." Silence covered every ship. Several alien officers lowered their heads. They had witnessed Daniel destroy the hunter. They had watched him refuse impossible offers. One ordinary human had delayed an entire invasion. Daniel looked at Lyra. "Looks like you have friends." She smiled softly. "For the first time, yes." Suddenly, the silver ship projected a beam of light toward the farm. It surrounded Lyra. She became covered in glowing blue energy. Daniel took one step forward. "Is she okay?" Lyra nodded. "The Heartseed is waking up." The glowing lines across her skin became brighter. Small images appeared around her. Beautiful cities, peaceful worlds. Children laughing, families together, everything the Elion civilization had once been. Every person watching understood the truth. Lyra was never a weapon. She was hope. Commander Varek looked at the images. His expression slowly changed. For years, he had believed power came from fear. Now he saw something stronger: memory, family, kindness. The peaceful voice spoke once more. "Commander Varek, you still have a choice. You may leave, or begin a war that will end your empire." Varek remained silent for a long time. Then he slowly looked toward Earth. He saw soldiers protecting strangers, parents holding children, firefighters helping people, doctors refusing to leave hospitals, and one stubborn farmer standing beside a little girl who was not even his own. Finally, Varek gave a quiet order. "Recall every soldier." The officers stared at him in shock. "Commander?" He repeated, "That is an order." One by one, the alien soldiers lowered their weapons. The blue portal opened again. Within minutes, the entire invasion force returned to their ships. The giant flagship slowly turned away from Earth. For the first time in galactic history, the galactic fleet retreated without a battle. As the last ship disappeared into deep space, sunlight returned to the farm. The shadow over Earth was gone. People around the world cheered. Many cried. Many simply stood in silence, unable to believe they were still alive. Lyra looked at Daniel. "So, what happens now?" Daniel smiled. "First, we fix the fence." Lyra laughed. Then Daniel continued, "After that, you stay home." She looked at him. "You mean?" He nodded. "Your family." Lyra wrapped her arms around him. For a long moment, neither of them spoke. Far beyond the solar system, Commander Varek stood alone on the bridge of his retreating flagship. One officer quietly asked, "Why did we leave?" Varek looked back at the tiny blue planet, then answered, "Because today, I learned something the galaxy forgot long ago." The officer waited. Varek smiled faintly. You can conquer worlds with fear, but you can never conquer a human heart. And from that day forward, across countless stars, parents told their children one simple story. Not about the richest child in the galaxy, not about the greatest fleet ever assembled, but about one lonely human farmer who looked at the entire galaxy and simply said, no.